Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Black Rights Emergency Update. Calling every black community, every black-owned business, every individual, every Hispanic community, every Hispanic-owned business, everybody from the Muslim community, the Jewish communities, the Catholic communities, and every community that has unanswered questions concerning America's unaddressed mental health crisis, the high rate of unemployment, police brutality, and mass incarceration, to join Black Lives Matter Incarcerated Incorporated in the movement to abolish the 1994 Truth in Sentencing Act, which is the act that Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders introduced into legislation. This act has been one of the primary constituents and underlying causes of mass incarceration and police brutality in the United States. Hopefully, now that he's up for presidential candidacy, he'll take time to objectively and subjectively review this policy with Kamala Harris, because this act has directly targeted and affected the minority races in the United States, causing them to be the vast majority incarcerated in every state, although he may not have intended to do so. This act is not only the foundation of the scheme of mass incarceration and police brutality, it is the cause of sentencing disparities and disproportionality that has affected the minorities of races throughout the United States, and utterly fails in conduciveness to reducing recidivism. The violence that has proliferated throughout the country emanates, partly, from the institution of this act, along with countless of other acts, as it is only the perpetuation and ploy of modern-day slavery. For the last 25 to 30 years is a generation of young adults who were raised in fatherless households, and in some cases, motherless household, due to the consequences of this particular act and all that it entailed and targeted, much like CO entails. The psychological oppression that black people, and other minorities have suffered on the basis of this act have also contributed to an increased risk of violence and homicide in minority communities. Therefore the minorities of the people should push to compel the defunding or the signing of an executive order striking the truth in sentencing legislation out. This is implicitly the only way that they can offer reparation today to black communities. As a primary step towards prison reform, the executive order abolishing should be instituted on the day of inauguration. Black Lives Matter Incarcerated and the People Lives Matter. This legislation has been headed by someone, should be, and must be booted by someone, and he should be able to sympathize with the truth, because it has caused the immeasurable pain that we are witnessing today. The generation of youth, and middle-aged adults, that you see today captured by rage and violence, suffering from police brutality and mass incarceration, ages range between 13 to 33, which is indisputably the time frame and pivotal moment of the state's surge, acceptance of federal funding for its prison systems, and application of the 1994 Truth in Sentencing Act. If we as a people form together and demand the abolishing of this specific act, true sentencing reform, prison reform can occur, mass incarceration, and police brutality can be prevented in the United States of America, the land that's supposed to be the land of the free, and so many different people will not have to suffer from the sentencing disparities and disproportionality that we suffer from as a race of people. How is it fair legislatively that a black person or a Spanish person commit robbery and is sentenced to life in Texas, Georgia, Alabama, Florida and predetermined to be beyond reform and rehabilitation, while another person runs white-collar crime, intercepts major corporations for millions of dollars and sentenced to a few years, and he is reformed, free to go with the rest of the money? Please, if you care about yourself and about your family that's been victimized, if Black Lives matter to you, Black Lives Matter Incarcerated has to matter, and the 1994 Truth in Sentencing Act must be abolished. Superscript 1. All blacks and Hispanics, as well as other minority groups, we encourage you that whatever your personal decision is as to who you'll elect for presidential honors, we simply advise you that it should be done contingent upon the promises of reform being effectuated immediately, and to sign an executive order against this act on the day of inauguration. Otherwise, before President Donald Trump leave the office, we shall form together and petition him in the Department of Justice to sign an executive order abolishing the 1994 Truth in Sentencing Act, that has caused so many sentencing disparities and disproportionality that they already have knowledge and have yet to rectify. In furtherance, the State of Georgia and Governor Brian Kemp, we beseech you to support ME and mass incarceration, Stop sentencing disparities and disproportionality that emanate from the Truth in Sentencing Act and the employment of the 7 deadly sins, eliminating their whole sentences structure. As well as the governors of Texas, Alabama, and AMP, Florida. The task is not out of reach. Please sign out petition and share it. Visit change.org/Black Lives Matter Incarcerated. Thanks for your support.